Helen Thomas.
Yeah.
So legendary reporter at the White House, longest-serving reporter at the White House, sat in the front, except for a portion of the Bush White House when they kicked her to the back, had been a voice for against war, let's put it that way, largely. She happens to be Arab American. And
is she Lebanese? Is that
she's
right?
Lebanese, right. And she had taken heat for that before with terribly derogatory comments by Ann Coulter, calling her that old Arab. Okay, well, you know, they should kick her out, etc. This was before any controversy. Now, over the weekend, a video got released where she's when asked about the Israeli situation, she said, what should they do? She said they should get the hell out of Palestine, and you know they should stop occupying those areas. If she had stopped there, I think it would have been defensible.
I think you're right. She went with one more.
Right. And then when asked further, she said, well, what should they do? She said they should go back to Germany and Poland.
Right.
Okay. Now, that, in my opinion, is indefensible. Yeah. So let's break it down a little bit, because one is the content of what she said, and two is what should be done about it, right? So if she just said they should get the hell out of Palestine, that's really ambiguous, and I'm not sure how to take that. Except she followed it up by saying they should stop occupying, right? So then I say, all right, look, then you interpret it as they should get the hell out of the occupied territories and create Palestine, which I think is a perfectly legitimate opinion to have.
Yeah.
Okay. But the second part, I don't. It's crazy.
Well, what she was saying is, you know, it's crazy, and she might be a little bit crazy now. She certainly wasn't forever. And the big violation, the big thing that upset me about this was that it was not, you know, terribly journalistic. It was not objective. It didn't keep her opinions to herself. However, we live in this climate where you screw up badly and you just get fired. I mean, you know, that, and she wasn't fired, she resigned, but I'm talking about it in sort of in a symbolic way, that everybody wants the death penalty for everybody. Helen Thomas is an institution in the White House. She's asked some of the most compelling questions in the White House. She has forged a path for women in an area where women were not ever welcome. She is an American treasure in a lot of ways. This is not how she should have gone out. However, we should be able to say, she should be able to come back and say, that was a stupid thing I said because I'm a journalist, and as a journalist I shouldn't have said those things, and the fact that I did, you know, it shows a little bit more about me than I want shown, and it was wrong. I'm not defending it, because I think it was a very strange and awful thing to hear, and I agree with you that it went, you know, it just kept escalating in that small. But I don't think that that's the end of Helen Thomas. You know, to me, we're such a punitive place now that you say one wrong thing and the walls have to come down.
Well, there's a couple of things here. Earlier in the day, I was on Russia Today, and they said...
I missed it. I T-voted.
Okay, good. And they said, look, is there a double standard here? Because the right wing can say whatever they want. They never get fired.
Right.
Like Glenn Beck can call Obama a racist, a Nazi, a Maoist, a socialist. Doesn't matter. He can get it. I mean, Pat Buchanan is virulently anti-Israel in so many different ways. But he's on the right, so he never gets fired. But, you know, Helen Thomas comes at it, presumably, I don't even know if you can characterize this as left.
A little bit of the different is, it's that they are opinionated. I mean, Pat Buchanan is a conservative political commentator. He's not a reporter. He's not writing articles about things. As offensive as it is, he's paid to be offensive in a way. Helen Thomas is paid to get the story out of the White House.
Right. But one of the things I wanted to ask, this, you know, so I'm saying put aside the double standard. I hear that, and I certainly hear what you're saying. Is there a statement you can make that's so over the line that your employer's got to say, hey, listen, I got to let you go?
Yeah, I think there are. I mean, I think that there are
for
those...
example, if she had said, you know what, the Jews had to come, right? Gone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, yes. In a way, yes, I think so. And I mean, you're going to say to me, well, this isn't much different from that, and it isn't.
No, I'm going to ask you. I'm not saying at all.
Okay. Is it much different than that? To me, it's much more different than that, because she's being asked, she said that they should, and then she was asked, where should they all go? And then she said, I guess they should go back to Poland and Austria and Germany, or I think that's what she said, and I'm paraphrasing. And then she laughed, like as if, you know, that's not going to happen. And I'm Jewish, and I was surprised more than I was offended. I also think your track record has to speak for itself as well. I mean, if you are, you know, right on race, as for example, Joe Biden was his whole career. He was right on race. He made a joke about 7-Eleven owners once that was offensive and wrong, and if anybody else had said it, I would have been a whole lot angrier. But I know Joe Biden's not a racist in that way, and if he is a racist and harbors some racial, preferences, I never knew about him, and nothing that he had done as a legislator for 35 years ever betrayed that. So it's about consistency, too. I mean, this wasn't like that Helen Thomas has been a Jew hater, public Jew hater forever. And then, yeah, I'd say she should have been fired a long time ago.
So if she had come out and said, look, I couldn't have misspoken any worse, and I was being ridiculously flippant, and but you know what? I don't think that Israel should have been formed in that place, because I didn't think it was right to the Palestinians, then maybe you move it into the ballpark of I might disagree, but okay, you don't fire somebody over that.
Right. And I do think that that's how it should have gone, but I think you're reading a little too deep, or I read it differently. I read it as if they don't want to be in Israel and they only want to be in the occupied territories, then send them back to Europe. I don't think it meant send all Israelis back to Europe. I thought it meant that because they were talking about the people in the occupied territories.
Oh, I thought it meant all of Israel.
Yeah,
That's why I thought it was over the
line. No, I understand that. I mean, I thought it was over the line even the way she was saying it. But the way I heard it, and we both heard the same thing, and we don't. Only Helen Thomas knows what she meant. The way I heard it was that they asked her about the people, why are they in the occupied territories? They should get the hell out of the occupied territories. Not that they should get the hell out of that area or that part of the world. It's out of the occupied territories. And if they don't want to go back to Israel, then they should go back to Europe. They just shouldn't be there. So that's why it didn't even. If she had said that about Israel, that Israel should be, taken apart and they should all go back to Europe, I'd be in your boat and she should have been fired.